Alright. Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is also known as New Mexico. And today's date is Monday, October 10th, 2016. Yep, I'm still in New Mexico, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque area, trying to get things going, but I'll be back to my home until further notice. So I'll just give you guys a heads up when that time comes. So I just yeah, it was just interesting. I've just been keeping tabs on what's been happening. I'm really going to be talking about the political debates, the presidential debates, or the evangelical circus. But I will say this, if it's really authentic, that Donald Trump did got those rape victims that was, you could say, Bill Clinton was responsible for, and Hillary Clinton. It was I saw a live feed on it on Drudge, and I was like, wow. And of course, they were talking about his when Donald Trump was talking about the Clintons, and you can look at Billy Boy's eyes. He wasn't really happy, I would say. So, like I told people before, I am not a Trump supporter, respectively, respectfully, because some of the rhetoric he used, even on the floor and on his speeches. Okay, you have to really examine the bigger picture. But I love it when people do little rants about Clinton won and Trump won, and they all I heard there's all these like worth of I would say floated feces in good faith, because when people need to start doing their homework on these candidates, especially Hillary Clinton, and like I said, I'm not gonna go Clinton bashing all the time, but allegedly she's part of the Windsor Bush bloodline, allegedly. And another thing too, William Jefferson Clinton and Chelsea Clinton are members of the Council of Foreign Relations. And on the Republican side, Newt Gingrich, which he's supposed to be like aiding and abating Donald Trump, and John McCain. Look up CFR.org and look up membership. You'll see it for yourselves. I am not lying. So birds of a feather flock together, what people say. Yeah, and I was so it was a little bit some dirty dealing in the political realm on that. But like I said, I'm not going to be talking. I was going to be a little brief on the whole presidential debates. So everyone's got to really think for themselves. Because like I said before, the Electoral College, your vote goes to them. Am I expecting election fraud? Absolutely. I won't be surprised one bit. Because look what happened to Bernie Sanders in the primaries. He got screwed. Ron Paul, he got screwed. Nothing new at all. So, yeah, so that's enough of that. And of course, I do post a lot of videos on there too, and some posts. If you keep, mainly on my accounts, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus. The others I don't really put in except for my podcast on my YouTube. But other times I may put the other ones in there once in a while, but more I'm active on those three sites. So if you want to follow me, be your pen pal, it'd be great. Good, I'll probably chat with you one on one. And I do have some interesting folks on there too, friends and pen pals. Many of them are activists, artists, people in the ministry, like Charles Van Vick. Happy birthday, Charles! It's probably right now. Your birthday's over. You're in South Africa right now. So, and yeah, I got some real good folks out there. And what's cool, because most of the time, most of us, we have a great discussion. It's not like mudslinging, because that's completely irrelevant and unhealthy. Because folks, remember, we're rank and file. We're not in the club. What the late George Carlin would say, if you understand what I'm talking about. All right, so speaking of that, Intercept written by Glenn Greenwald. And the stuff is still happening, the atrocities in Yemen. And it says here, U.S. and U.K. continue to actively participate in Saudi war crimes, targeting of Yemeni civilians. Can we say a conspiracy? We can't use conspiracy to think we're a bunch of kooks wearing tinfoil hats. Okay, as it reads here, from the start on the hideous Saudi bombing campaign against Yemen 18 years ago, two countries have played actively vital roles in enabling the carnage. The US and UK, the atrocities are committed by the Saudis would have been impossible without their steadfast, aggressive support. The Obama administration has offered to sell $115 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia over its 8 years in office, more than any previous U.S. administration, as the Guardian reported this week, and also provides extensive surveillance technology. Mr. Exception, Mr. Nobel Peace Prize. Take a dump. That is more intriguing than our Lord and Savior, Barack Obama, and his cronies. As The Intercept documented in April, in his first 5 years as president, Obama sold $30 billion more in weapons than President Bush did during his entire 8 years as commander-in-chief. Let's benefit the oligarchs and their banksters. Hallelujah. Most important, according to Saudi foreign minister, although it is the Saudis who have ultimate authority to choose targets, British and American military officials are in command and control center for Saudi airstrikes on Yemen and have access to list of targets. Hillary Clinton and dumbed-down David Wiseman shows. Can you defend that or refute it? I don't think so. In sums, while this bombing campaign is invariably described in Western media outlets as Saudi lie, the U.S. and U.K. are both central, indispensable participants. As the New York Times editorial page put it in August, the United States is complicit in this carnage, while the Guardian editorialized that Britain bears much responsible for this suffering. Yes, can we say the Bank of England, World Bank, IMF, and or the New World Order? From the start, U.S. and UK-backed Saudis have indiscriminately and at times deliberately bombed civilians, killing thousands of innocent people. From Yemen, Iona Craig and Alex Potter have reported extensively for The Intercept on the widespread civilian deaths caused by this bombing campaign. As Saudis continue to recklessly and intentionally bomb civilians, the American and British weapons kept pouring into Riyadh, ensuring that civilian massacres continue. Every once in a while, when a particularly gruesome mass killing made its way into the news, Obama and various British officials would have cursory, obligatory statements expressing concern, then go right back to fuel the attacks. Oh, yeah. Do it for their demoniac idols, I would say, right? This weekend, as American attention was devoted almost exclusively to Donald Trump, one of the most revolting massacres took place on Saturday. Warplanes attacked a funeral gathering in Sana'a, repeatedly bombing the hall where it took place, killing over 100 people and wounding more than 500. See photo above. Video shows just some of the destruction and carnage. I've seen it, my friends. It is absolutely blasphemous. Saudi officials first lied by trying to blame other causes, but have since walked that back. The next time someone who identifies with the Muslim world attacks American or British citizens and those countries' leading political voices, answer the question, why, oh why, do they hate us? By assuring everyone that they hate us for our freedoms. It would be instructive to watch that video. And like I tell these folks, if this happens, go why they hate us before our freedoms, please smack them upside the head or punch them in the mouth and go, I'm just trying to enlighten you in good faith. The Obama White House, though, is spoken. Ned Price condemned when it called a troubling series of attacks striking Yemeni civilians. Attacks it did not note it has repeatedly supported and lamely warned that the U.S. security cooperation with Saudi Arabia is not a blank check. That is exactly what it is. The 18-month of bombing supported by US and UK has, as the NYT put it this morning, largely failed while reports of civilian deaths have grown common and much of the country is on the brink of famine. It has been known from the start that the Saudi bombing campaign has been indiscriminate and reckless, and yet Obama and the UK government continue to play central roles. A UN report obtained in January by The Guardian uncovered widespread and systematic attacks on civilian targets in violation of international humanitarian law. The report found that the coalition had conducted airstrikes targeting civilians and civilian objects in violation of international humanitarian law, including camps for internally displaced persons and refugees, civilian gatherings, including weddings, civilian vehicles, including buses, civilian residential areas, medical facilities, schools, mosques, markets, factories, and food storage warehouses, and other essential civilian infrastructure. So when you say about the Muslims hate us, Saudi Arabia is a quote unquote Islamic nation, right, under Sharia law. So think about them before you do everything, say everything, go after them collectively. But what was not known until the excellent Reuters report by Warren Strobel and Jonathan Landay this morning is that Obama was explicitly warned not only that the Saudis were committing war crimes, but that the U.S. itself could be legally regarded as complicit in them. Conspiratorial. We can't use that word because they say we're a bunch of quacks. The Obama administration went ahead and with a $1.3 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia last year, despite warnings from some officials that the United States could be implicated in war crimes for supporting a Saudi-led air campaign in Yemen that has killed thousands of civilians, according to government documents and the accounts of the current and former officials. The State Department officials were privately skeptical of the Saudi military ability to target healthy militants without killing civilians and destroying critical infrastructure needed for Yemen to recover, according to the emails and other records obtained by Reuters and interviews with nearly a dozen officials without knowledge of those discussions. In other words, the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize winner was explicitly advised that he might be a collaborator in war crimes by arming a campaign that deliberately targets civilians and continue to provide record-breaking amounts of arms to aid their prosecution. He's a drone man. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba. He's a drone man. Give me that teleprompter almost full. He's a drone man. None of that should be surprising. It will be difficult for Obama to condemn double tap strikes of the kind the Saudis just perpetrated, where first responders or mourners are targeted, given that he himself has used that tactic, commonly described as a hallmark of terrorism. For their part, the British blocked EU inquiries into whether war crimes were being committed in Yemen, while key MPs have blocked reports proving that UK weapons were being used in the commission of war crimes and the deliberate targeting of civilians. The US and UK are the two leading countries when it comes to cynically exploiting human rights concerns and the laws of war to attack their adversaries. That's right, they're a bunch of filthy hypocrites. They and their leading columnists love to issue pretty self-righteous speeches about how other nations, those primitive evil ones over there, target civilians and commit war crimes. Yet here they both are standing firmly behind one of the planet's most brutal and repressive regimes, arming it to the teeth with full and undeniable knowledge that they are enabling massacres that recklessly and in many cases deliberately targeting civilians. And these 18 months of atrocities have barely merited a mention in the U.S. election, despite the key role the leading candidate, Hillary Clinton has played in arming the Saudis, to say nothing of the millions of dollars her family's foundations have received from its regime. Her opponent Donald Trump has barely uttered a word about the issue and himself has received millions in profits from various Saudi oligarchs. Interesting, right? There's some links on there, folks. You could judge that for yourself. But remember, always say, observe responsibly. But wouldn't be surprised, I would say, from the Evangelical Circus 2016 debates. One reason American and British political and media elites love to wax eloquently when condemning the brutality of the enemies of their own government is because doing so advances tribal, nationalistic ends. It is a strategy for weakening adversaries while strengthening their own governments, but at least as significant a motive that is at issuing such condemnations distracts attention from their own war crimes and massacres, the ones they are enabling and supporting. There are some nations on the planet with credibility to condemn war crimes and the deliberate targeting of civilians. The two countries have spent close to 2 years arming Saudi Arabia is in its ongoing slaughter of Yemeni civilians are most certainly not among them. Wow. And I know I talk about Yemen periodically, and so it's just an example, my friends, that they want to control the world and they could bow down to the Saudis and to the New World Order. Like I said, they're bend over bobs and proud. Say under the same umbrella. This is very sickening, and that needs to be addressed at the presidential debates, the House of Representatives debates, and the Senate debates. It should be addressed to everyone, even on the local level. Hey, you support these people? Explain this crap. All right. Yeah, I'm a real vigilant SOB when it comes to these politicians or wannabe politicians, these pathetic actors and actresses from the Church of the Evangelical Church of politics. It really just crosses, that never crossed my mind, but the folks out there, even in the United States and in the UK, your tax dollars is being funded, aiding this murderous rampage. Okay? And there are lots of ways of getting out the tax system. Just got to start doing your homework. Even myself, I admit that. And go, how come we're not paying federal income taxes? Why should my money go to the military-industrial complex, you pathetic scumbags? That's how you got to say it. And it's sad because that's morose, sad or morose, whatever. That's the language they can comprehend. They think you're that pathetically stupid. You're not going to do anything. Just be a doormat. You're going to go, okay, master? Shoot. You gotta start going and use their offices as outhouses, as a form of rebellion. But as far as I'm concerned, it's like really just gets my goat. That's why I hate imperialism. I hate distribution of wealth, and foreign aid is one of them. Including donating money to Israel. Nothing against their people. They got awesome people out there, I could say that. I met people from Israel, they're great. But they have their criminal elements as everyone else. Remember, government in Latin means control of the mind. You have to contemplate that too. That's something you gotta really think about, my friends. Doesn't matter where you live. I'm just addressing this on my own best interest to my fellow freedom loving sovereign thinkers worldwide. Regardless of your race, color, creed, etc. It affects all of us. What's going to be next? You talk about Iran. Watch out. Iran didn't do anything. I'm not crazy about their form of government. I'll admit that. But they haven't invaded a country in years. Centuries. That's their next plan, right? The road to World War III, that's what they're focusing on. They want to fulfill Albert Pike's prophecy. Clash of civilizations so they create their one world government, their one world religion. It's just an example, my friends. And you should throw that to Donald Trump's face. Hey, you get money from the Saudis? If so, explain why. I'm have to go to opensecrets.org and find out for sure. But observe the links on there. Observe responsibly, like I always say. And I'm done with this area. I'll be ranting forever on this. I don't want you guys fall asleep. All right, next one here came from Ron Paul Institute. Peace and Prosperity. Came out Sunday to be exact. It says here, 15 years into the Afghan war, do Americans know the truth? This is by Congressman Paul himself. Last week marked the 15th anniversary of the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, the longest war in U.S. history. There weren't any victory parades or photo ops with Afghanistan's post-liberation leaders. That is because the war is ongoing. In fact, 15 years after launching a war against Afghanistan's Taliban government in retaliation for an attack by Saudi-backed al-Qaeda, the U.S.-backed forces are steadily losing territory back to the Taliban. When President Obama called good war before took over in 2008 has become the forgotten war some 8 years later. How many Americans know that we still have nearly 10,000 troops in Afghanistan? Do any Americans know that the Taliban was never defeated, but now holds more ground in Afghanistan than at any point since 2001? Do they know the Taliban overran the provincial capital of Kunduz last week for a second time in a year, and they threatened several other provincial capitals? Do Americans know that we are still wasting billions on reconstruction and other projects in Afghanistan that are the biggest boondoggles? According to a recent audit by the independent U.S. government body overseeing Afghan reconstruction, $500 million wasted on a contract for a U.S. company to maintain Afghan military vehicles. The contractor failed to meet program objectives. The audit found, of course, they still got paid like thousands of others getting rich off this failed war. So if you're weak and pathetic, we will commend you. If you're productive, crucify them, extort them, the tyrannical way. Do Americans know that their government has spent at least $60 billion to train and equip Afghan security forces, yet these forces are not capable of fighting on their own against the Taliban? We recently learned that an unknown but not insignificant number of those troops brought to the U.S. for training have deserted and are living illegally somewhere in the U.S. In the recent Taliban attack on Kunduz, it was reported that thousands of Afghan security personnel fled without firing a shot. According to a recent study by Brown University, the direct costs of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars thus far are nearly $5 trillion. The indirect costs are virtually incalculable. We're going to get the money out from right out in there, the Federal Reserve. Perhaps Afghanistan is a forgotten war because to mention it would reveal how schizophrenic is U.S. foreign policy. After all, we have been fighting for 15 years in Afghanistan in the name of defeating al-Qaeda while we are directly and indirectly assisting a franchise of al-Qaeda to overthrow the Syrian government. How many Americans would applaud for such a policy if they only knew, but thanks to a media-only interest in promoting Washington's propaganda, far too many Americans don't know. I have written several of these columns on the various anniversaries of the Afghan and Iraq wars, pointing out that the wars are ongoing and that the results of the wars have been less stable countries, a less stable region, a devastated local population, and an increasing probability of more blowback. I would be very happy to never have to write one of these again. We should just march home. Thank you, Congressman Paul. And all you folks believe he needs to wear a tinfoil hat. Prove him wrong right now. I dare you. He served in Vietnam as a doctor. Okay? So don't tell him he never experienced war. I told him he's a coward. Another version of imperialism, my friends. Unacceptable, null and void. bring our troops home. Let the people in Afghanistan fight their own battles. Who cares about the poppy seeds? People need to know what is happening. And I'd like to thank him for putting this out. And there's folks like us, including other podcasters and so forth, take the initiative on sharing this with you. All right. Here's some little interesting articles here. This one here came from Claire Wolf. Talks about the election. It goes 1 month away. What's the best possible outcome? That came out a couple of days ago. And it says here, the dreaded election is 1 month away. And one way or another, whether we vote or don't, we're all going to be affected by it. I've edged toward a conclusion that the best possible outcome, short of an overwhelming write-in vote for either sweet meteor or death or none of the above, is, God forgive me, a Hillary Clinton victory along with the Republican sweep of the House and Senate. If this happens, the evil queen will be able to preen before her magic mirror all she likes, but her wishes won't become anybody's commands except to the extent that she can enforce them via executive order. I say this, any executive order, the people in the House, the people in Congress should wipe their butts on it and send it back to her, because I'll do the same thing. Wipe my butt and send it back to her. I am saying I believe the R's have suddenly become so principled they'll oppose her dangerous agenda, victim disarmament and single-payer health care in particular. Or, principle? Huh, don't make me laugh. I'm just saying that in the current climate of polarization, I expect R's to oppose Hillary on anything just because she's Hillary. Spite may be the only thing standing between us and tyranny, but if so, I'll take it. Of course, the R's probably won't win the Senate, but even Hillary versus the House is something. I came to this conclusion even before Trump's latest scandal. He is not only a foul, loathsome human being, as is Hillary, of course. He is not only a chronic liar, and as Hillary, of course, but he is an ignorant loon who wants to rule and will allow his ego and his big hands to run the show. She, on the other hand, is just your basic standard corrupt politician who is actually less interested in her political position than in raking in whatever buck she can grab, which means she even sell out her own admittedly dangerous agenda for the right bribe. We could understand a politician like that. I'm not saying I vote for Hillary. No, I am SMOD supporter all the way. I'm merely saying that Hillary in office with R's thwarting her in Congress is the least dangerous scenario I can envision. And if she dropped dead on any of her notorious natural causes a month after the election or was immediately impeached for corruption, even better. In the long run, any outcome that increases cynicism about politicians and decreases belief in all-powerful, all-holy government will be positive. But some of the past that to that end are too terrifying to contemplate. Clearly, your mileage on this issue may vary. So, what do you see as the best possible outcome in November? Or maybe I should say the least worst outcome. She has some great points, Claire Wolf. Followed her. I've followed her for a good period of time, good long time, and I know she was involved with the JPFO after Zellman's death. You know, during until Zellman's death, and some transition happened with Second Amendment Foundation want to take over. There's a big exodus that happened because, including Claire Wolf, is a lot of criticism towards him, and I have to respect that. And I'm not going to go talking smack about Alan Corrin himself because he has some good elements on a judicial perspective, legislative perspective. But Zellman, he's one of those. He was a hard-nosed dude, SOB, which I like. Let's say if gun control is completely terminated, he'll just shut his doors. And go, hey, our mission's done. So, but no, a lot of her stuff is real good. Go to ClaireWolf.com, and if you're liberty-minded, she wrote Beyond the Gray Zone, if I'm correct, with the late Aaron Zellman. That's a good little book. You should check it out. It's political science fiction, I would say, but definitely check her out, man. And I got another one. I got another one coming in too by is it Claire Wolf in this one? Let me see here. Maybe another one here, but I'll just let you know. Yeah, I may be doing another one here. Nah, not actually her. Okay, cool. Not wrong with that. Yeah, it's by Claire Wolf in this one too. But I'm gonna do before that. I'm gonna do something here, which came out a few months ago, a couple months ago, and it's been written by Robert Rorschach, which is from NotToBeGoverned.com. It says here 20 reasons not to vote: the art of not being governed. And it says here, if one votes, one participates. If one participates, or wait, if one votes, one participates. If one participates, one condones and endorses the process, and subsequently what those elected representatives do and say in your name. 2. Electoral promises are meaningless because politicians are able to lie to gain the favor of the electorate, and then to do exactly what they want once they have it. Then there is no accountability or recourse other than waiting for another 4 years or so to vote them out and replace them with someone else who will follow the established template and do the exact same thing. 3. The act of voting grants legitimacy to the idea that it's acceptable for the majority collective to use the coercive arm of the state to impose their will on the minority, individual use of force, or threat of force, and that for that reason it is immoral to vote, such as the only way to truly delegitimize the system is not by voting. When the people refuse to participate in droves, the international community can no longer recognize the results of the election as legitimate. This previous legitimacy is such a concern for politicians that in some countries it is now a legal requirement to vote. Good example, Australia. And there are countries like that. You must vote. I believe Paraguay is maybe one of them, if I'm correct. I could be mistaken, but I know some of the South American countries I've seen that too. Even from the old Britannica Junior Encyclopedias I read, like, man, about 40 years ago. All right. A non-voter emerges from the electoral process with a clean conscience because they can legitimately proclaim what the elected representatives subsequently say and do after they have gained power is done in their name, not with their permission and not with their encouragement. 4. To vote does not mean one relinquishes the right to then comment on, complain about, or protest the actions of the government. It is completely the other way around. When one vote effectively makes a contractual agreement, the voter is officially recorded doing so, which on the other hand, the right for someone else to speak and act in their name, and as such, assents to whether the government does thereafter. A non-voter, however, has not done so, and therefore retains the right to complain, object, and protest all they want. 6. Participation in the system, i.e. voting, reinforces the idea that people can't live together without violent control. 7. The participation in the system, i.e. voting, implies that the majority knows what's best for everyone. 8. Participation in the system, i.e. voting, implies that the majority knows what's best for the individual. 9. Voting is effectively participating in mob rule, and the mob then enforces its views on the rest of society with the threat of violence. 10. By voting, an individual literally advocates the use of force against peaceful people. Has its pros and cons there, which is understandable. 11. Voting reinforces the idea the people have the power rather than largely unaccountable bureaucrats who make the rules. 12. Voting is futile because invariably the better financed candidates wins. 13. Statistically, votes makes no more diff- anyone vote makes no one difference. No more difference than a single grain of sand on the beach. Thinking that their vote counts tends to give a voter the voter a mistakenly inflated sense of self-worth, and participation in the system creates a passive sense of accomplishment. 14. An individual's ability to make an informed choice is zero if only information they reference is from the overtly biased mainstream media, government news channels, propagandas, politicians, and party manifesto sales pitch, or from an enforced state school education indoctrination. 15. Voting sends a false signal to the elected politicians that the voter approves all their policies. Voters therefore encourage them. Got some good points there. 16. If an individual has not come to firm conclusion about the election, the individual will do more for their country, community by not voting rather than making a mistake. 17. If an outcome of vote is unknown, then the voting is tantamount to gambling. If the outcome of a vote is known, then the voting is futile. 18. No individual has the authority to make laws their neighbor or anyone else must obey, then it's how it's morally accepted for any individual delegate authority they don't have to someone else, such as a politician. 19. Should people who know more about game shows, sports, reality TV, and celebrities rather than matters of real importance, economics, political philosophy, history, logic, critical thinking, etc., be in a position to vote and influence the lives of others? I like that too. I like that. I really do. That was good. 20. Supporting the lesser of two evils is still supporting evil. The 20 reasons not to vote boil down to this. If you're not a voluntarist, then by definition you are an involuntarist. As such, personally advocate the initiation of force or threat or force against people who have threatened or harmed anyone. Therefore, every person in the world, one of these statements is true. 1. I advocate society whereby people are free to voluntarily interact with one another. 2. I advocate the use of force or threat of force against innocent people in order to make them comply with my opinions and preferences. If the first thing refers to you, don't vote. And don't if it refers to you, then don't vote. And I like says here for George Carlin, if you vote, you cannot complain. You wanted a master and you got one. I gotta say one thing. It has some great things in here. Sometimes you could disagree, which is fine. But I always tell this to folks too. Like there's some like I like the hype and hoopla, especially with the elections. Everyone talks about vote for Hillary, vote for Trump. There's other like five candidates in there, but like I tell everyone before, it goes to the electoral college, and two, you think you're gonna vote and just sit back and do nothing, then you're damn fool. It's good to be a rebel rouser, call them out, communicate with folks. If you even want to have differences with, you can still, if you have common interest on a particular issue, stand together. But I like this because the whole thing is they try to make it like they're the masters, and you see people out there, they have this attribute of sweet pie purebred. Help me, underdog, help me. But as a volunteerist, you got a lot of great. You got a lot more choices. You got to start really thinking for yourselves, my friends. So, in an anarchistic point of view, I understand what he's saying. I'm not going to knock him. I may have to do some disagreement, which is fine. However, I like it because the truth of the matter is, my friends, he's saying this. He's saying something in this topic, which I can really agree with. They need us more than we need them. That's the main objective. Well, we don't need a nanny. And you know what? My natural born rights are inalienable. They could put these stupid ass laws in the books, ordinances. It's a de facto. It means illegitimate. Something to think about. Even your state constitutions. If it violates your Declaration of Rights or Bill of Rights, it's de facto, null and void. And you can look that up under Black Law's Dictionary. You'd be surprised. And even some language, like a Florida Constitution, they have a de facto, and de facto law is illegitimate. It's in Article 1. Just to give you an example. So I think it's great. It's good. Something to really think about. Okay, something to really think about. Because the two-party system, the political party system is deplorable. Even the late George Washington and many others said that too. George Washington's fell will address. I know I repeat this in my past episodes, but I have it. Check it out. You can look in the archives. Not just look it up. You'd be surprised what he said. But they want us to focus on this, focus on all this other distracted garbage. The idiot box. All right. Next one here came from Claire Wolf again. Came out today. And it's about defense inspiration Jewish history. It's from the Zellman Partisans, which is like say an offspring of the JPFO trying to have those Aaron Zellman attributes, late Aaron Zellman attributes. And I have to respect them for that because I've seen the JPFO's website recently, and it is disappointing on what happened because a little bit more limited stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's probably good people in there, but I'm like disappointed too because one, it wasn't people just like were really like really disturbed in what happened. You can't really blame them. All right, it says here catastrophes and second chances. By her again, Claire Wolf says it. The two wondrous news stories this week got me thinking about our upcoming and disastrously non-wondrous presidential election. Neither of the stories has the slightest thing to do with electoral politics. Quite the opposite. They are rather amazing, feel-good stories. Neither has anything to do with U.S. or politics at all, but both are about triumph of individuals or small groups over decades or even millennia of adversity. First is the tale of Yisrael Crystal. He just celebrated his bar mitzvah. He also just got named as the world's oldest man by Guinness. Yes, he finally celebrated his bar mitzvah at the age of 113. You gotta bless him for it. As a young boy, Polish-born Yisrael Crystal looked forward to turning 13 when he could celebrate his bar mitzvah, the Jewish coming-of-age ritual. But that was 1916, and World War I crushed that hope. Little did he know that he would wait a century for that ceremony. Crystal barely survived the next World War as a prisoner in Auschwitz. After World War II, he rebuilt his life in Israel, raising a family and opening a business. Earlier this year, he was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's oldest man. Some accomplishment, eh? After so much tragedy and loss. You got to agree with that. Then there are the Lemba people of Zimbabwe. They are black Africans. Physically, they are resembled other sub-Saharan tribes people, but their own legends and traditions have told themselves they are Jews, part of the diaspora from Israel. And what to do, you know? A few years ago, DNA analysts backed up those legends. Lemba carry the Cohen Modical haplotype. Yeah, set of Y chromosome characteristics typical of the Jewish priesthood at about the same rate as the major Jewish populations. For many, the genetic findings validated the Lemba's connection to Judaism, further inspiring their quest to reconnect with the faith. Their relationship with the larger Jewish community is now helping them preserve their culture and look out for vulnerable community members, just as Lemba traditions once did. And now they are building their first synagogue with help from a U.S.-based group that serves isolated, emerging, or returning Jewish communities. This and others help come at a perfect time when the tribe has been struggling to take care of itself and its members. So after 100 years, Yisrael Crystal celebrates his coming of age. After thousands of years, the Lemba discovered their true identity to begin and build a spiritual base to match their cultural and genetic one. Why would their heartwarming stories bring me to think of the no good news election lying less than a month ahead of us? I'll get that to a second, but I have first, but I have, but first I have to say I'm speaking only for myself when I talk politics. The Zelman Parsons as an organization take no position on the presidential race or any other. A couple of our board members are Trump supporters. A few more here block considered on the block considered Trump to be, shall we say, slightly untrustworthy on Second Amendment issues and other all other issues of life, liberty, and the universe. No one hereabouts is insane enough to vote for Hillary Clinton because enough, even those, even though she lies about everything else, we believe her 100% when she says she wants the Australian option on our guns and gun rights. But I think it's clear to almost everybody that this election is a rolling catastrophe and that whoever wins, whatever happens, the catastrophe will continue to roll long beyond the inauguration of the next president of the U.S. We are in angry, desperate, perilous times. It may only be at the beginning of them. Maybe these perils will pass and we'll emerge safe and prosperous in a few years, but maybe we'll end up in World War III or a deeper than ever depression. Maybe we'll end up either left wing or right wing brown shirts in the streets, curbs on free speech. Border walls will fence us but fail to fence others out. Increasing surveillance with increasing security breaches that leaves us far less secure. No matter who wins, we'll almost certainly end up with further restrictions on our gun rights, perhaps mild, perhaps doctrine. Right, yeah. Draconian, excuse me. We are already so polarized that this certain that the losing side will nurse grudges while the winning side gloats and tries to wield power by executive diktat. Faction will continue all of our all-out war with faction and any illusion of the rule of law or respect for the poor old battered constitution will be shattered. Meanwhile, behind scenes, the indomitable bureaucracy will march on, controlling life more and more, as it always does, no matter what party imagines in its power. You can argue all you want which side is less bad, but you can't credibly argue that our immediate political future looks good. We are in for hard times, and our freedoms, any of them, probably all of them, are going to suffer. Quite possibly, in the next few years and beyond, we'll have moments, and more than moments, years, maybe decades, in which we lose both freedom and hope. We'll despair. Some of us will be tempted to surrender. Friends will betray us. Causes will implode. Losses will pile up. Injustice will pierce us to the heart. Good people will be punished for harmless deeds. Innocent people will be forced to turn outlaw. Many will suffer. Many will break down in grief. So for this moment, I point you back to Israel, Crystal, and the Lemba Jews of Zimbabwe. They were lost, but now are found. They suffered, but ultimately triumphed. And so bloody damn well will the keepers of freedom and the defenders of individual life. I like that commentary. And I think it's great with the Lemba, was it Lemba folks, you know, they got back their roots, and of course, Mr. Crystal for living 113 years is awesome. See, folks, they can knock you down, but they can't take you out. They may kill you, but if you have strong principles, your legacy will be fulfilled. That's why, my friends, too, you have to always be vigilant. Not just the U.S., but the world. Freedom is preserved with eternal vigilance. I'm paraphrasing by Thomas Jefferson. I think it's great. And we got to prepare ourselves. There's lots of us still got those options because things are happening. Spiritual warfare is in progress. States' rights are getting stronger. got to keep that momentum going. Because remember, the tyrants been using steps to con us and try to downgrade us, downbreed us, or dumb down, whatever you want to call it. Water down our liberties, stagnate our books. This is why you gotta always put their feet to the fire. Every single one of you got beautiful gifts, talents, great spiritual attributes. Don't surrender to them, because they will treat you like you are garbage, dump you, never be recycled. These folks that was addressed in this column made that happen. That should be inspiring. Doesn't matter what your views are, what your background is. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Claire Wolf. It feels really good to narrate this story. All right. I know I posted the video on this by Next News Network, so I got to read this on my own. And it's from Right Wing News, and it came out I think like 4 days ago. And I just found out today. It's entitled "Bam! Federal Judge Defies Obama overturns ban on guns, banishes required registration." It's by Sierra Marley. And it says here, Obama has a very disturbing history attempting to violate our Second Amendment rights, especially on the heels of tragedies like Sandy Hook, which many of us know that there was 0 murders reported, according to the FBI, 2012. FBI.gov, look it up. Just type in crime reports 2012. A heart-wrenching and painful as it is to watch such heinous acts take place. Restricting the rights of the people is never the logical answer. Thankfully, I'm not the only one who thinks this way. A federal judge has officially moved to overturn several anti-constitutional actions that make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to legally purchase firearms. The judge overturned a complete ban on publicly carrying handguns, a $1,000 tax on handgun purchases, a ban on assault weapons, a caliber restriction on long guns such as rifles, and a requirement to register all gun purchases with the government. Yes, can we say the word? Extortion. Yep, an extortionist slime bag. Ramona Mangola is a chief judge of the U.S. District Court in the Northern Mariana Islands. She has to say this about her ruling. The individual right to arm and self-defense in case of confrontation cannot be regulated into oblivion. In her conclusion, she says some things that the rest of the world, like every elected official, to understand about our constitutional right to bear arms. The right of armed self-defense, including in public, is subject to traditional limitations. It is not subject to elimination. And that is a little touchy there on traditional limitations. But we'll just keep going. That's the question. It is unconstitutional regardless of the several scrutiny applied, and the court must strike it down. The individual's right to carry and transport an operable handgun openly for self-defense outside the home. Is it too late to make this lady president? But seriously, I could not agree more than with her assessment of the Second Amendment and the important, nay, critical role it plays in the everyday lives of individual citizens. The Second Amendment, like the rest of the Bill of Rights and Constitution, is not up for negotiation. It is not on the table, and we will not back down in protecting our God-given rights from greedy, power-hungry politicians who would absolutely do everything within their power to make the people of the United States subservient to federal government. If this sounds like fear-mongering, all it takes is a brief look at history to prove that what I said is absolutely plausible. In fact, you don't even need to look outside the United States to see examples of government using fear to take the rights away from people, in this case, Native Americans, and they're exerting control over them, knowing they are powerless to stop them. God bless this judge. And like I said, the limitation thing, I'm a little bit, I could say, I can be critical or disagree, but overall, I do commend it. And you know what? Let's just do this. That's right. A little applause, because a great applause, because this judge chose wisely overall. And you know what? Barack Obama, dumbed down Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, all these anti-freedom parasites are very offended. And you know what? Boo hoo. You treasonous, pathetic slime bags. And you can even talk about disarming the blacks. No guns for Negroes. Look it up. I posted stuff in the past, but definitely look it up. No, and you go to YouTube and a couple other places, and you see it. It's real good video. And there's a lot of things on democide and genocide as well. We can talk about what happened in Nazi Germany, Turkey with the Armenians, Ugandans, okay, by Idi Amin Dada, General Idi Amin Dada, and even what happened in Rwanda. We can just go on and on and on and on. Victim disarmament is the road to genocide or democide or control. So you know what? All you folks out there are talking about common sense gun laws, penile microphone to you. And that's not being sexual either. Okay? That's enough said. And you know what? I'm going to add one more thing here, which is a video that was by James Corbett. Great guy. He has a real good analyst on this. And I'll be posting this urgent mainstream media serial lies need to be exposed before it's too late. And the video is really good. Hey, subscribe to James Corbett. Follow him on YouTube, Google has a Google Plus, Twitter, and Facebook. You won't be disappointed. You can say, Lucky Luck the Third endorses you. And I say that in good faith. So, yeah, it's 18 minutes long. It's very good. So I'm going to add that link on there too. Okay, my friends? All right. Well, thanks for everyone for listening. And please feel free to download plus share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or send me something I should check out, that'd be great. Whatever you do, please deliver your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, or Scene.life. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck with the number 3 altogether at gmail.com. Yeah, I'm going to be playing you a song. And it's funny because the last episode, I know some songs are copyrighted. Some of I think when I played that one song by Sick of All We Stand Alone, it was blocked by 88 countries because of some copyright infringement. And I did one with the Voivod song too. It was allowed to release 9 countries. So I edit those on YouTube so people can check it out. And hey, damn you do, damn you don't. It's part of copyright, so I can't really argue. I'm not angry, but they should at least appreciate. Hey, I'm trying to put some good taste in music out there, so try to vary little by little. So, but you know what? That's how it goes. So I'm not even gonna cry about it. And yeah, this is performer named Atheist. I'm not talking about Atheist, a band from Bradenton, Florida. They're a great band, by the way. That band Atheist, but it's a hip hop supporter. And this one came out a while back, and it's off the album Top Top and Gan Top Top Gan Topaganda, yeah, Top Agna. That's the name of it. And this is big fan of the movie The Warriors. He did a song called The Warriors. And it was pretty cool. Yeah, I remember watching it, the movie in its time, one of his favorite movies. I don't blame him. It was a real good cult classic. And I do recall it was a big midnight movie hit. And I remember folks used to just like I'd be one time I was at a cinema a movie with my mom. We saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we walked out. People waiting in line for the words, "Yeah, Warriors!" A big line. Like they had shown in all three theaters, which was pretty cool. So there was a big midnight movie success too. So I want to be playing that song from him. And like I said, hey, hip hop's like everything else has its poets and posers. You folks can figure it out. So check it out. I like it. It has a cool little story behind it. And hopefully you agree as well. All right, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.
One gang could run this city. One gang. Nothing would move without us allowing it to happen. We could tax the crime syndicates, the police, because we got the streets, suckers! Can you dig it?
Delegates on a train to the Bronx. Everyone is wearing colors and we'll never take them off. There's a meeting going down, so we're moving through the town. And nobody's packing weapons cause the truce is on for now. Crowds engaged, Second Cyrus is the stage, leader of the Riffs, New York's biggest gang. Thousands showed up, not knowing the cops rolled up. He got a plan to take over, but the spot's about to blow up. Luther from the Rogues, let the gun blow. Hit Cyrus in his chest, quick to lay him to rest. But he didn't stop there, man, he's running his mouth. He tried to blame it on us like he was ratting us out. We couldn't fight back cause the numbers weren't right. It was straight up insanity when cops hit the spotlight. We started running, man, with all of our might. We gotta pop back to Pony, this a hell of a night. Things off, we got a bus full of skinheads, Turnbull ACs, they seem to want us dead. First instincts to fight, but we ought to refrain, cause we gotta make it home, we gotta catch the train. Our only option, proceed with caution. Then we ran into another gang called the Orphans, tried to talk it out, but to no avail. So we took their girl and threw a Molotov cocktail. These wimps were nothing compared to the cops, yo. We tried to outrun them, but they grabbed and killed Fox. Ended up splitting up, yo. We had to get busy. Some fought with the Furies, others fought the Lizzies. The chicks were packing, send them to the hospital. Furies had bats, turned them into popsicles. Second, we're back home, we'll be feeling euphoria. But right now, every gang is looking for the warriors. Soldiering through the park towards Union Square. Ajax hitting on the undercover sitting there. He got restless, she protested, and then he got arrested by the cop he molested. Swan and Mercy made it there early. The rest were late, but here's another gang wearing roller skates. Don't know why, but these are some big guys. We brawled in the bathroom, we're the best when we improvise. Yo, we finally got a train, made it back to Coney. But even though we're home, we couldn't be more lonely. Something seemed wrong, man, our stomachs were sinking. Then we heard the sounds of some Coke bottles clinking. Warriors come out to play. It was Luther and the Rogues, there was hell to pay. He tried to pull a gun, but Swan's quick with the blade. Then the Riff showed up and never let him get away.
We found what we're looking for.
No. It wasn't us. It was them. Warriors.
You warriors are good. Real good. The best. The rest is ours.